Om Gananam Tva Ganapatikim Havamahe Kavim Kavinam Upamashravastamam Jyeshtarajam Brahmanam Brahmanaspatana Shrunvannutibhis Dasadanam Shri Mahaganadhipataye Namaha Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Dear friends, we are resuming this class after a gap of about 2 months. I am sorry for the absence because I was away for about 2 months. So we will just recapitulate. We had just completed the first Valli. In the last class, I gave a summary of this first Valli and then also gave a small introduction to Dvitiya Valli. And we also read the first mantra, that is Anyat Shreyaha, Anyadutaiva Preyaha, Te Ubhe Nanarthe Purusham Sinitaha, Tayoho Shreyaha Adadanasya Sadhu Bhavati, Hiyate Arthat Yavu Preyo Runite. So that is the mantra which we read. And then we had just started the Bhashyam also. I will just to recapitulate, we will just slightly go back. We have seen that Lord Yama has adequately tested Nachiketa. Nachiketa is the boy who went to Yama's abode, and then he asked for, and Yama sanctioned 3 boons. And then this gentleman, he took the first 2 boons, one for himself, one for his father, and one for the welfare of humanity. That is the Nachiketa Agni, that is something to do with Yajna. And then the third one, he is asking for Brahmagyanam. And then Brahmagyanam is it was not given to everybody without testing. Particularly in those days, only an adhikari, somebody who is already well disciplined after a study of Vedas, one who has properly understood the meaning of this Upanishads, one who has undergone the spiritual discipline of Shama, Dhamma and all these things, only such a man was taught the Brahmagyana. So that was the system in olden days. Of course, now we are teaching Gita Bhashya, we are teaching Upanishad Bhashya even on the internet. Then because of the change in circumstances, in those days, because everybody believed in Dharma, there was no need for everybody actually, because the common man was, it was still an age of faith as we call it, and then everybody believed in Dharma, everybody believed in religion. So only at a higher level this Upanishadic philosophy was taught. But now the belief itself has eroded. Now it is an age of reason. Everybody wants to reason, everybody wants to question. So for a questioning mind, it is the Upanishad which is required. So Upanishad is taught, that is Brahma Vidya is taught now by everybody through all media. So that of course is a digression. So Yama, he tested Nachiketa whether he was suitable or not. What is the suitability for Brahma Vidya? Sadhana Chatushtaya Sampatti, that is the eligibility. What is the Sadhana Chatushtaya? That is Nitya Anitya Vastu Viveka. That is the discrimination, the ability to discriminate between what is real and what is unreal, what is truth and what is untruth. So that is the Nitya Anitya Vastu Viveka. Then the second one is Vairagya. Once you have that sense of discrimination, you automatically develop that sense of Vairagya or dispassion. So that sense of detachment. For what? Iha amutra phala bhoga viragaha. Iha means in this world, amutra means in the other world. Other world means what we call heaven. So you should not have any aspiration for abhyudaya in this world or some heavenly pleasures. After all heavenly pleasures, what are heavenly pleasures? There again, extension for the sensory pleasures only. You have sensory pleasures here. You have the same sensory pleasures even in heaven. What we visualize as heaven in the framework of religion, what do we find there? We find only sensory pleasures. You find some nice wine, you may get some French wine here, there you may get some more heavenly wine. So it is something like that. It is an extension of sensual pleasures. So iha mutra phalabhoga viragaha. The third one is Shamadhi Shatka Sampatti, Shama, Dama, Uparati, Titiksha and all those things. Then the last one is, with all these things he should have an intense desire for liberation, that is Mumukshutvam, Mokshe Ichha, that intense desire to have that, to know about his own self, an intense desire for knowledge. So all these things have been adequately tested by Yama in the case of Nachiketa. So he has given so many, he has offered so many things. He tried to tempt him so much. He wanted to give him, thousands of years of life, huge empire, and what all wealth he needed, what all, other sensual pleasures he wanted. All those things were offered by Lord Yama, and they were all rejected by Nachiketa. So that is the overall background. And now in this Dvitiya Valli, you have seen that Yama has started with giving a broad idea of the dharma, the concept of dharma, how people behave in the world, and how Nachiketa has distinguished. So in this Dvitiya Valli, Lord Yama is giving us a broad picture of what is dharma, and in that dharma, what are the various components, that is the Shreyo Marga and the Preyo Marga, and then how a large number of people in the world behave, and how Nachiketa has distinguished himself by rejecting all this so-called Preyo Marga, which is adopted by 99% of the people, and how he is a unique, good student. So Yama is going to compliment also. Yama is going to compliment Nachiketa for his Shraddha. So that is what we have seen. And in this mantra, Lord Yama said, there are two things, Anyat Shreyaha, Anyadutaiva Preyaha. In the last class, I also told you the meaning of this Shreyas and Preyas. In fact, this is what, if you recall, Gita Bhashyam, in the very Sambandha Bhashyam itself, there are two words, Dvividho hi Vedokto Dharmaha, Pravrutti Lakshanaha, Nivrutti Lakshanascha, Jagataha Sthitikaranam, Sakshat, Praninam Sakshat Abhyudaya Nishreyasa Karana. So for Abhyudaya there is what is called Pravrutti Marga. For Nishreyasa there is what is called Nivrutti Marga. So that Nivrutti Marga is the Shreyo Marga. Shreyas is, that is the highest goal. The highest goal of a human being is to have knowledge of the self. The highest goal is liberation. Liberation is possible only by the knowledge of the self. So that is the highest goal. And then this Preyo Marga or Abhyudaya, that is prosperity in this world or in the heavenly world. This is the Abhyudaya Marga, for which a man does some good deeds, he does some yajna, he does some good deeds and then acquires prosperity in this world. And then he does some other rituals like yajna and all those things, and then he attains some punyam and goes to the other world. So these are that is the Abhyudaya Marga, that is called the Preyaha. Preyaha means that which is dear. And Shreyaha is that which is commended, that which is really praiseworthy. So that is what is this Shreyo Marga. So these two things, Purusham Sinitaha, these two things they bind a man. So that is what this mantra said. They bind a man in the sense that both are allowed in the framework of Dharma. In the broad framework of Dharma, there are four things, that is Dharma, Artha, Kama and Moksha. Moksha alone is distinguished from the other three. Dharma is essential for everything, that is the base for everything. After all, Dharma allows all the basic human needs. Dharma allows Artha. Artha means acquisition of wealth. Dharma allows Kama, enjoying all types of pleasures. You have say Artha. Artha means all material wealth. And then with the help of this wealth, what all material pleasures you can acquire. So that comes under the word Kama. So all those things they have to be attained according to the process of Dharma. So Adharma, of course, that we are not going into the ambit of Adharma. So this Dharma ambit is fairly big. So Dharma allows for all basic human needs, and how human needs have to be fulfilled within that ambit. So that is all Abhyudaya process. So that is what has been told. Te ubhe nanarthe purusham sinitaha means these two things are having divergent results, and then these two things they bind a person. And then between these two, the one who chooses this Shreya path, one who chooses this commended path, that is the Nivrutti Marga, he is the man who will attain the finest goal. And then the other man who chooses the other path, he departs from that, he falls from that highest goal. He may get some material prosperity here, he may have some abhyudaya here, but then he is not liberated from that janma marana chakra, janana marana chakra. He is having that bondage. He will be eternally, he may be feeling that he is eternally happy here, but then he is not liberated from that, the wheel of birth and death. So that is the picture here. So hiyate arthat, so in that sense he falls away. He is alienated from that main objective of moksha. So that is the meaning of this mantra. And we read the first line of the Bhashyam also, Shankaracharya's Bhashyam, where I will read it fast. Anyat pruthageva shreyah nishreyasam tatha anyat uta apyeva preyah priyataramapi te preyashreyasi ubhe nanarthe bhinna prayojane sati purusham adhikrutam varnashramadi vishishtam sinitaha badhnitaha tabhyam atmakartavyataya prayujyate sarvah purushaha. I think we read up to this point. One more line. Shreyah preyasorhi abhyudaya amrutatvarthi purusha pravartate. So, abhyudaya amrutatvarthi purusha shreyah preyaso pravartate. So, that is where we stopped. That is, the meaning of this thing is, so there are this abhyudayarthi, one who wants this material prosperity, he goes in this preyo marga, and then one who wants liberation, he goes in this shreyo marga. So that is where we stop. Let us continue the bhashyam. Ataha shreyah preyah prayojana kartavyataya tabhyam baddhaha ityuchyate sarvah purushaha. So everybody in the society is bound by this. Everybody in this society who is following dharma, of course, there are people who don't follow dharma. Of course, their course is totally different. We are not talking about them. The people who do not follow dharma, they definitely go to hell. Their course is totally different. But those who follow dharma also, they have prosperity, they have material prosperity, but then they are not liberated from this, the wheel of the cycle of birth and death, and then they are always bound by all these things. So liberation from bondage is not there in the case of those people. So all the people, whether it is Shreyo Marga or Preyo Marga, they are bound by these. Every man in the world is bound either by Shreyo Marga or Preyo Marga. So that is the meaning here. Te yadyapi ekaika purushartha sambandhini vidya rupatvad viruddhe vidya rupatvat, vidya plus avidya, vidya rupatvat viruddhe, vidya, both are vidya rupatvat viruddhe iti anyatara aparityagena ekena purushena saha anushthatum ashakyatvat tayoho hitva avidyarupam preyah shreyayeva kevalam adadanasya. Okay, adadanasya also is correct, adadhanasya also is correct. It depends on what dhatu we are taking. Da dhatu, it gives adadati, that is, he accepts, receives. Adadhati, the dha dhatu, it gives a similar meaning. One who sticks on to that, one who stays in that. So that is the meaning there. Adadana, your book says adadhanasya. Okay, both are correct. Adadanasya upadanam kurvataha sadhu shobhanam shivam bhavati. So these two paths, yadyapi ekaika purushartha sambandhini, that is, these two paths, of course, one path is oriented to one particular goal, that is, Shreyo path is oriented to moksha. The preyas path is oriented to artha and kama, dharma, artha and kama. All these three fall under one group. Dharma, artha, kama fall under one group. Moksha alone falls under another group. So this Shreyo Marga is oriented towards moksha. The Preyo Marga is oriented towards this dharma, artha, kama. So Ekaika Purusha, these three things grouped into one. we are referring to all these three as one. Here in this text, we are referring to all these things as Preyo Marga. So that is one Purushartha Sambandhini. Then how are they characterized? One is characterized by Vidya. Vidya means the right type of knowledge, the right type of understanding. What is this? Shreyo Marga is characterized by the right type of understanding. What is this right type of understanding? That is our listening to this Upanishad Vakyas, Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam, and then understanding that the self is something which is Najayate, Mriyateva, Kadachit. So that sort of understanding. The Atma is something which is Nitya, Shuddha, Buddha, Mukta Swabhava. This is something which is one with that infinite Brahman. So Tattvamasi and all these say sentences, Upanishad Vakyas. After listening to all these Upanishad Vakyas and after meditating on those Upanishad Vakyas and after firmly understanding and stationing oneself in the meaning of that Upanishad Vakyas, after stationing oneself in that particular type of awareness, like what they call space-like awareness, so that is what is called the Vidya. Vidya means that is the right type of knowledge. The other marga is characterized by avidya. The other marga means dharma, artha, kama. Then what does it mean? All the dharma shastras, do you call them avidya or vidya? All dharma shastras, they are in the framework of avidya only. Because all dharma shastras, they tell about a human being. They tell about a human being, what he has to do in a particular circumstance, what are your varna dharmas, what are your ashrama dharmas. When you have a son, what type of samskara you have to do. When you say what type of yajna you have to do, depending on your say particular stage in life, what sort of rituals you have to follow, and then say all other things, your interaction with the external world, all these things they are decided in that Dharma Shastra. And then Dharma Shastra is particularly revered. It is revered by all of us. But still, all that is technically in the ambit of avidya. So anything which is not, which is different, anything which is different from Brahma Vidya is avidya in the context of Vedanta. So long as we are in the Vedanta class, except Brahma Vidya, that is Atma Vidya, let us say. That is, Atma is the same as Brahman. So except this, all other things, you may be a professor in some field, you may be a professor in physics, you may be a professor in mathematics, or you may be a great writer, you may be a very great poet, you may be Shakespeare, you may be Milton, whatever it is. So all these things are under the category of avidya, because that is not that is something which is related to the world, worldly aspects, worldly behavior, worldly transactions. So that is the picture. So that is, follow that. So that is why this Shreyo Marga is characterized or built upon this Vidya, and then this Preyo Marga is built upon this Avidya. So Vidya Rupatvat, Vidya Avidya Rupatvat, Viruddhe. Viruddhe is in dual number. All these things, Te here also, Te Yadyapi, Te, it is not Sahate, Sahataute, it is Tat Te Tani. That Te does not mean they. Te here is these two. Tat Te Tani. Then Yadyapi Ekaika Purushartha Sambandhini, Vidya Avidya Rupatvat Viruddhe. So this Vidya and Avidya, we know, these two are divergent. These two are totally different. Then Anyatara Aparityagena Ekena Purushena Saha Anushtatum Asakyatvat. So these two things we have also seen in Gita Bhashya. These two things cannot coexist in one man at one time. You follow the path of avidya to some extent, then you graduate and go to the path of vidya. So that is the picture, isn't it? You follow the avidya, you follow Dharma Shastra, you do rituals, you go to a temple, you do pujas, do all those things, and then at some point of time you get slightly enlightened while you are listening to the same mantras which are recited at the time of these rituals. You get enlightened because the same mantras, they give a slightly different meaning as you slowly speculate on them, and then you slightly become enlightened, and then you go to the path of vidya. And that is what we saw in Gita also. While you are doing even in the process of a ritual, Sami Krute Vinashtrepi Kame, so you have started a Kamya Karma. But in the process, somewhere in the middle, you suddenly the wisdom dawns on you after listening to all those mantras and after giving some thought on the meaning of those mantras. So that is what happens. So ekena purushena saha anushtatum ashakyatvat means these two things cannot coexist. Then tayoho hitva avidya rupam preyaha shreya eva kevalam adadanasya. So what a wise man, what does he do? A wise man rejects this preyo marga. It may be pleasing. It may be pleasing to his family. It may be pleasing to his wife and children. But then this man, he has to get out of that if he has to go to Shreyo Marga. If he has to go to Shreyo Marga, he has to give up. He has to reject. Hitva. Hitva means having rejected. Hitva avidya rupam preyaha. Avidya rupam preyaha means this Preyo Marga which is built on this avidya. Then Shreya eva kevalam adadanasya. Adadanasya means one who accepts, one who follows that path, one who adadanasya strictly means accepts. One who accepts that particular path, upadanam kurvataha. Upadanam means swikarincharam, as we say, that is accepting. Upadanam kurvataha shobhanam sadhu shobhanam shivam bhavati. Sadhu bhavati. What is this sadhu? Shivam bhavati. Shivam means, that is Shivam, you know the meaning of Shiva. What is the meaning of Shiva? Shiva means Mangalam. Shiva is something which is auspicious, something which is the utmost well-being, let us say, utmost good, let us say. What is the utmost good for a human being? Utmost good for a human being is to get liberated from this wheel of samsara. That is the utmost good. So that is what is the meaning of Shiva. When we say Lord Shiva, the meaning of Shiva is, Shivam means Mangalam, that which is very, very auspicious, that which is very, very good, that gives the extreme good, that is the highest good, let us say, highest good for a human being. So that is what is Shiva. Shobhanam Shivam Bhavati. Then Yastu Aduradarshi Vimudhaha Hiyate Viyujyate अस्माद् अर्थात् पुरुषार्थात् पारमार्थिकात् प्रयोजनात् नित्यात् प्रच्यवत इत्यर्थः. So on the other hand, yastu means on the other hand, yastu aduradarshi. Duradarshi is one who can see far. That is, who can calculate his mouse ahead. Aduradarshi means one who cannot calculate his mouse, one who cannot see that far, one who cannot see which is good for him and which is not good for him. Today something is pleasing for his indriyas, for his senses, so he feels that is the good. But then he does not realize that if you keep on eating all these sweets, at some point of time you will develop some problem in future. So somebody who indulges in sensual pleasures, thinking that they are all good, without realizing that they will lead him to some danger at some other point of time. These are simple examples. So Aduradarshi is somebody who is thinking that all this Preyo Marga is something which is good, all this material wealth, acquisitions and whatnot, and then the Punyam I acquire, all these things, they are the only desirable things. So this gentleman, he does not realize that he is bound in that wheel of samsara. So that is the meaning here. So Aduradarshi Vimudhaha. So Visheshena Mudhaha. Vimudhaha means V is an upasarga. V means extremely Mudha. Vimudha. Mudha is a deluded man. Vimudha means an extremely deluded man. Ativa Mudhaha. Then Aduradarshi Vimudhaha. He is an extremely deluded man. Hiyate Viyujyate Asmadarthat. Hiyate means Viyujyate, he gets separated. Viyoga, you know, Viyoga means separation. Viyujyate means one who gets separated. He gets separated. That means he almost gets rejected. He gets alienated. He gets rejected. So Hiyate is Viyujyate, he gets separated. He gets dropped, let us say, or he gets alienated. From what? Asmad Arthat Purusharthat Paramarthikat Prayojanat. That Paramarthika Prayojanam, that is the utmost good. What is that supreme good? Paramarthikam is, that is supreme. We know these terms called Paramartha, then Vyavahara and Paramarthika we know. Vyavahara is transactional level, Paramarthika is supreme level, highest level. That is Paramarthika Arthat. That is from that supreme goal, he falls. And the Paramarthikat Prayojanat, there is another adjective which is used here for that Paramarthika Prayojanam, that is Nityat. Nitya, we know, Nitya means eternal. Nitya is eternal. Then Paramarthikat Prayojanat Nityat Prachyavata ityarthaha. Prachyavate. Chyavati. Shuti means fall. Prachyavata means he just gets dropped. He falls from that Paramarthika Prayojana. So the wise man, he sticks on to the path of Vidya. He chooses the path of Vidya. Whereas the extremely deluded man, he is attracted by all the, say lures of this world, all the pleasures of this world, and also the pleasures of the other world, and then he sticks on to this, and then he gets deluded, and then he goes far away from that supreme goal. He goes far away, he moves far away, he gets rejected from that supreme goal. So that is the meaning here. Then, yadi ubhe api kartum swayatte purushena, ubhe api kartum swayatte purushena, किमर्थं प्रेयेव आदत्ते बाहुल्येन लोकः इत्युच्यते. So here a small doubt arises. So a human being, we know that a human being has got an option. There are two terms called determinism and free will. In Gita Bhashya also we were seeing these two words. Determinism is an idea that everything you do is totally predetermined. You are something like a machine which has been say made by or manufactured or say programmed by somebody, and then you go run according to the program. There is no question of choice in your case. So that is the strict meaning of determinism. Free will is an individual is having a free will to exercise his own option, to choose his own way of life, to choose his own the type of work he wants to do. So that is what is the free will in a very small, in a very normal sense. So we in Vedanta we accept a sort of combination of this determinism and free will. Determinism, how does it come? Because you have done certain good karmas here, and all these karmas, they produce some vasana. We know this word vasana. Vasana means certain tendencies, certain impressions, let us say, some latent impressions and these latent impressions, they produce certain tendencies. It produces a sort of predictable behavior. So this karma which you do in this life, it produces a sort of predictable behavior, it produces certain say tendencies. So these things, once a person dies, there is what is called transmigration. What is it that transmigrates? It is the Linga Sharira which transmigrates. We have seen in the other Bhashyas also. Linga Sharira means the physical body falls off, this Annamaya Kosha falls off, this Pranamaya Kosha and Vijnanamaya Kosha and Manomaya Kosha, these three things are called the subtle body or the Sukshma Sharira. The subtle body or Sukshma Sharira, this is what transmigrates to the other body. So this subtle body carries, because this subtle body has this component of mind. This mind and Manomaya Kosha and Vijnanamaya Kosha are there. So this subtle body carries these impressions of these karmas to the other body. And then there again there is some little bit of some latent tendencies, some latent tendency that is called, that is the vasana. But then once he is born, a person is born, he is again having a free will to choose. He is having a free, he does not go according to a program. To the extent of being born with certain tendencies is okay. But then again there is an influence of the environment. What in science, what in psychology today they call heredity and environment. There is an environment, influence of environment. You go to a good teacher and then you listen to Vedanta. You go to a good school and then you become a professor. You go to some other place and then you fall into, you may say, some evil company, and then you may become a bad person. You may become an evil person. So this is a choice. There is a choice for the human being. So in this case again, what the question is, yadi ubhe api kartum swayatte purushena. So Shankaracharya is again emphasizing that the man, an individual, is having a free will. This is swayatta, ubheyapi kartum swayatte. It is not as though a person is say predetermined to be a jnani, or a person is predetermined to go on a preyo marga, or somebody who is predetermined to be a criminal, adharma marga. So it is not like that. This is something which is swayatta. Swayatta means which is in one's control. Swa plus ayatta. Swa plus ayatta is swayatta. That is in one's control. Yadi ubheyapi kartum swayatte purushena. That is, both these things, they are in the control of a man only. Man is having that free will. So this statement of Shankaracharya also has to be noted very clearly, because the statement very clearly points out that it is not as though this India, our Vedanta is very wrongly understood by several people. It is all doomed, we are all doomed, this is all our karma, it is because of our bad karma, it is like this. So it is not like, it is not that karmavada. Karmavada should not be understood as mere fatalism. Karmavada should not be understood as fatalism. There is a term called fatalism in English. So that fatalism is, okay, this is our fate, what can we do, you cannot escape. It is not like that. A man has the free will to choose his action, and a man has got a free will to choose his own path, to become better, to go on to a better path. He can choose a better path, or he can choose an ugly path. So that free will is very much there, and this sentence of Shankaracharya very clearly says that free will is very much there. Then swayatte purushena kimartham preyaha eva adatte bahulyena lokaha. Why do people then go after these pleasures only? That is human nature. Why do people go after this thing only? So that is the question. Then let us read this mantra. Shreyascha preyascha manushyametah tau samparitya vivinakti dhiraha vivinakti dhiraha shreyo hi dhiro abhipreyaso vrunite preyo mando yogakshemad vrunite. So this says, this is because Shankar, the question is why do most of the people follow this Shreyo Marga? Shankara, this mantra, this Upanishad says it is because of this foolishness, because of Ajnana. This is all due to this avidya or Ajnana, that most of the people choose this Preyo Marga, and then very few people choose this Shreyo Marga. Then this Shreya and Preya, they approach a man, and then the Dhira, a wise man, he discriminates, he distinguishes, he very well examines. He examines them and distinguishes, and then he discriminates what is good and what is bad. So such a man is called Dhira. What is the meaning of Dhira normally? Dhira Purusha. Dhira means a valorous man, a very bold man. Dhira in Vedanta does not mean a person who can fight like our Telugu cinema heroes. Telugu cinema hero, he is a Dhira, because he is a fellow who can fight with 100 people. Even in Kavyas, there is the Katha Nayaka, there is a hero and a heroine. This hero is called Dhira. There are 4 types of Dhira people: Dhirodatta, Dhirodhata, Dhira Shanta, Dhira Lalita. There are 4 types of heroes who are described in our Kavyas. Of course, we will not digress into that. I am just mentioning the names. So that aspect of Dhira is common in all of them. Aspect of Dhira means a very firm, a person of resolute character, a person who is very firm in his belief. So that is the Dhiratva in a particular person. So here, what is Dhiratva? Dhiratva is not the ability to fight with say 100 people. Dhiratva is not the ability to dance with 100 women. But Dhiratva is self-control. Dhiratva is one who has that self-control, one who has conquered his own self, one who has conquered his own, say, desires. In fact, for example, in Prahlada Charita, say Hiranyakashipu, the father of Prahlada, he approaches Prahlada. What is this? He says, he sees that Prahlada, in spite of his orders to all these, all his followers, all the followers of Hiranyakashipu, they try to torment him, they try to torture him, they try to kill him, they try to poison and then do so many things. But Prahlada is just not harmed. So then Hiranyakashipu wonders, what is your strength? He says, your strength, O king, your strength and my strength are one and the same. that is in that supreme strength. You are drawing your strength from that. I am also, my strength also is from that same thing. But unfortunately, you have not conquered the enemy in your own self. The enemy is in your own self. So that is what he says. So one who has not conquered his own self, he is not a dhira. Hiranyakashipu may be a very, very valorous man. He might have, say, conquered and defeated several hundreds of, say, all these gods. But then, he is not a dhira in the sense of Vedanta because he has not conquered his self. So in Vedanta, the meaning of dhira is one who has got self-control, one who has, say, got his indriya jaya. Indriya jaya is controlling his senses. So that is what is that dhiratvam. So a person who is a dhira, he makes a distinction between what is shreyas and what is preyas. But then unfortunately, the other man, Mandaha, the opposite of dhira is Manda. Manda means a dull-witted man, a person who cannot discriminate. So this gentleman, he falls prey to all these lures, attractions, and then he gets seduced by all these things, attractions, and then he chooses the preyo marga. So that is the meaning of this mantra. Let us see these words. Shreyascha preyascha. Shreyaha and preyaha. Then Manushyam etaha. Manushyam etaha means they approach a person. Etaha is, in the Bhashya, Shankaracharya is splitting it, a plus itaha etaha. The root is in gatav. That is the root here is in gatav. Eti, itaha, yeti and itaha yanti. Yeti, itaha yanti. So that is how the root declension, the declension will be like that. Manushyam a plus itaha agachanti. Manushyam prati agachanti. They come, they approach, they come to a person. Then tau samparitya vivinakti dhiraha. Dhiraha, as I said, a person who has that ability to discriminate, a person who has that self-control, who has the control on his senses. This gentleman, tau samparitya, by examining these two things. Tau is in dvitiya vibhakti. Samparitya, that is having examined properly. Samparitya, samyak parikshya. Samyak parikshya means by after thoroughly scrutinizing them. Vivinakti. Vivinakti means discriminates. It is the same thing as viveka. Vivekana, we know, viveka is discrimination. Vivinakti means he does that thing called discrimination. So he discriminates, and then Shreyo hi dhiraha abhipreyaso vrunite. Dhiraha Shreyaha hi vrunite. Shreyaha hi, this abhi has to be connected to vrunite. Abhivrunite. Shreyaha abhivrunite. Abhivrunite means he selects. Vrunite means selects. Abhi is only an upasarga. Abhivrunite means he very clearly selects that thing in comparison to or in preference to preyas. Preyasaha shreyaha abhivrunite. The sentence is like that. Preyasaha means in preference to preyas. Preyasaha, the word preyasaha is in Panchami Vibhakti. Then in comparison to or in preference to preyas, dhiraha shreyaha abhivrunite. Dhira will choose, or he will very clearly choose. He has no confusion about it. Abhi, what is this prefix abhi is used only to indicate that he has no confusion about his selection. He is very clear about his selection. He is very clear in his mind that this is the highest goal. So that is why he selects that. Then mandaha. What is the fourth line is mandaha. Mandaha means, as I said, a dull man. Preyaha yogakshemad vrunite. He wants some yogakshemam. So every day normally when we write letters also, me yogakshemalu telapandi. You please tell about your yogakshema. We say yogakshema. What is yogakshema? Apraptasya praptihi yogaha. Yoga means getting united with something, isn't it? Yoga is getting united with something. Then in Gita Bhashya, have we come up to this point? Yogakshema. Yogakshema is, yoga is apraptasya praptihi yogaha. That is something which you don't have so far, you acquire it. So that is what is called yoga. Suppose you do not have a car. Now today you get a car. So that is a car yoga for you. You get a wife, that is wife yoga for you. So like that, car yoga and wife yoga, that is yoga. Kshema is praptasya rakshanam kshemaha. that you have to maintain that car, you have to maintain your family, you have to buy saris for your wife. All this comes under the category of Kshema. Yoga is acquiring something which you have not got earlier, and Kshema is protecting what you have acquired. So these two are technical words, Yoga and Kshema. So Yoga Kshemat, because of this Yoga and Kshema, because he is attracted by this Yoga Kshema aspect, then this Manda, the dull-witted man, he goes to the insurance company, and then insurance company says, Yoga Kshemam Vahamyaham. You know the LIC motto. LIC motto also is Yoga Kshemam Vahamyaham. They have taken the line from Gita. So anyway, this Manda, this foolish man, he chooses from that. So the overall meaning of this shloka we know, this mantra we know. We can see the Bhashya. Satyam, Swayatte. True, what you say is true. That Satyam is in reply to the earlier question. The earlier question was, when a man has got a free will to exercise his option and choose the better path, why is it that most of the people are not choosing the better path? Why is it that most of the people are choosing an inferior path? So that was the question. So the answer is Satyam. Yes, what you say is right. Swayatte. These two paths they are in one's own hand. This gentleman has got a free will to exercise his option. Swayatte. Tathapi. Sadhanatah Phalatascha Mandabuddhinam Durviveka Rupe Sati Vyamishri Bhute Iva Manushyam Etaha Purusham Ayitaha Prapnutaha Shreyascha Preyascha. Okay. What you say is true. Definitely there is an option. There is an option, and then this gentleman, he is capable of exercising an option. But unfortunately, Manda Buddhinam, for all those people who are dull-witted, most of the people who are dull-witted, they are not able to distinguish between the means and ends of this Shreyas and Preyas. What are the means for this Shreyas and what are the means for this Preyas? And where exactly are they leading? What is the end? The means sadhana. Tathapi sadhanataha phalatascha. What is the sadhanam and what is the phalam? What is the sadhanam for Shreyo Marga and what is the sadhanam for Preyo Marga? Preyo Marga sadhanam is quite okay. It is very, very easy. You have to do some hard work in this life, and then you have to spend some money maybe. You have to go to some Tirumala, you have to pay some money, and then you have to do some special puja and then acquire some punya. Isn't it? Because there is a craze for such things. In fact, Tirumala is becoming a more and more difficult place to go, only because everybody feels that God is located only in Tirumala and nowhere else. Because all of us will feel that, say, for a particular Abhishekam, on a particular day, suppose Abhishekam takes place only on a Friday. Today is a Friday. Somebody rang up from Tirupati today saying that, okay, we had such a nice Abhisheka Darshanam, it is such a great thing. So because of this value which is attached, and then because of this feeling that we get punya, a lot of punya on this particular day if you see this idol in a particular shape. So because of this sort of Manda Buddhi, there is a lot of problem for the executive officer there. Because thousands and thousands of people go and put pressure on the executive officer, and that executive officer, he has to exercise his choice and then his option and then give some permission to some people only. So this type of thing happens in this Preyo Marga. So in this Preyo Marga, you have to go do all these things, and then the end is some punyam. End is some material benefit in this world. So this Preyo Marga is something which is a rather easy thing. But then Shreyo Marga is something which is fraught with some self-discipline, fraught with difficulty, we should not say, slightly difficulty also we can say, because it is easier to take out some 1,000 rupees and spend money on that, and it is very difficult to sit in a Gita class or a Upanishad class. People are willing to do some puja, because in puja you need not use your brain. For 2 hours you can sit there for a puja. What all you have to do is, you have to do some take a nice bath, take a silk dhoti and then tie that dhoti. If you do not know how to tie that dhoti, there are some ready-made dhotis also, and then you just put it on and then you just sit there, and then that Swamiji, that Pujari, whoever it is, he comes and then chants some mantras. What all you have to do is, you have to just do what he says, and then ultimately send him off by giving him a few hundred rupees. So this marga is very, very easy. But then listening to a Gita class, you have to sit for 1 hour, you have to keep your mind fresh, and then you have to apply, you have to keep and then understand the points. So this is a difficult thing. Similarly, if the listening itself is so difficult, then what about implementing? Listening itself is so difficult. So what about implementing this Shama, Dhamma, Stitiksha, Uparati, Samadhanam, Shraddha, and what all these things? This is a process. And then again, Patanjali uses different terminology. He says Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, etc., etc. So all these things, they are quite difficult, because every word in Gita or every word in Upanishad, if we really take up one shloka from Gita every day, and then if you just speculate on that all through the day, that is actually a sort of self-discipline. That is a great self-discipline. Of course, sometimes we forget, sometimes whenever I remember I do it, but that even that doing will be there for 1 hour or half an hour. But in half an hour, our mind again relapses to our normal routine, and then we forget about Gita, we forget about everything. So this is a very difficult path. So that is why this Manda, a dull-witted man, he cannot choose that path, and he does not know what is the sadhanam and what is the end. He does not know that about this Shamadama, Uparati, Titiksha, all these are sadhanas. Karma Yoga is a sadhana. Right now we are talking about a person who is doing Kamya Karma, isn't it? We are only talking about somebody who is interested in prayers, somebody who is interested in material wealth, somebody who is interested in Swarga, somebody who is interested in all the pleasures of Swarga. We are not even talking about what is this gentleman, Karma Yogi. So this man, he does not know what are the sadhanas for jnana. Sadhanas for jnana is Karma Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, then Bhakti Yoga, and all these are all sadhanas for all these things, for enlightenment. So this gentleman, it is very difficult for him to follow that path. So that is why he accepts the other path. Let us see this line. Swayattepi, swayate tathapi sadhanatah phalatasya. By in the context of means and ends. Sadhanam is means, phala is end. So when you talk of phala and when you talk about means and ends also, this mandabuddhinam durviveka rupe sati. For these dull-witted people, this is very difficult to distinguish which is right and which is wrong. Then vyamishri bhuteiva manushyam etaha. And then there is so much of attraction, there is so much of confusion in this. Vyamishri bhuteiva. They approach us in a rather totally mixed up. Suppose somebody says you do an yajna. Vyamishri bhute will just illustrate. Vyamishri, how is it mixed up? Good and bad, how is it they are mixed up? Suppose somebody says you do yajna, some atiratra yajna. And then we feel that that is the highest goal. Oh, atiratra yajna. Some Brahmins from Nambudri, Brahmins from Kerala are coming, and then they are doing this atiratram here in what is this place? They did some atiratram in 2 places. One in some place, Godavari, that Bhadrachalam, and one in Kesara. So they did that atiratram. We feel that is something very, very great. And what is atiratram ultimately? Atiratram is a yajna where there is a yajamani with a bundle of desires. And all the people who contribute to that atiratram are people with bundles of desires. So atiratram is actually a bundle of desires, and then you are doing some yajna there, and then you want some punyam, you want to do this, and then okay, sometimes you also utter the words like lokakshema and whatnot, but ultimately you are doing it for a lot of punya. Punya again is binding, but then we don't realize, because some sacred mantras are chanted, some Upanishad mantras are chanted, and some other mantras are also, some Veda mantras are chanted, and we feel that is something really great, and we feel really enchanted by the whole process, isn't it? So we really feel, when we feel totally enchanted by the whole process, then you feel that is the Shreya Marga, but that is not the Shreya Marga. So that is how these 2 things, Shreyas and Preyas, they come mixed up. This Preyas comes disguised as Preyas, Shreyas. It appears as though it is something which is supreme. So that is it, isn't it? You followed it? So Vyamishri Bhuteiva, they come as though they mixed up. Manushyam etaha, Purusham etaha, Shankaracharya is splitting, a plus itaha, etaha, prapnutaha, they approach. Shreyaha and Preyaha, they approach a person. Ataha, Hamsaiva Ambhasaha Payaha,
Hamsaiva
ambhasaha payah tau shreyah preyah padarthau
Tau Shreyah Preyah Padartho
samparitya samyak parigamya
Samparitya Samyak Parigamya
manasa alochya guru laghavam vivinakti
Guru Laghavam Vivinakti
pruthak karoti dhiraha dhiman.
Pruthak Karoti Dhiraha Dhiman.
Not pruthaha but pruthak karoti.
Pruthak Karoti Dhiraha Dhiman.
Yes. And therefore, because these things they come in a mixed up manner, because you are not able to distinguish what is Shreyo Marga and what is Preyo Marga. Sometimes it is clear, but sometimes it is not clear. When somebody says you do this particular yajna or you do this particular vrata, it looks really great. But then it is saddled with a bundle of desires. It is associated or accompanied with a bundle of desires. And then the desire is something which we are supposed to get over in the context of Vedanta. So it is mixed up. Then, therefore, a wise man, he is supposed to examine them. Like what? Like a swan. Hamsa. You know the example of a Hamsa. Traditionally, in this conventional literature, we really do not know whether a Hamsa, whether a swan can really separate milk from water. So it is said that if you mix water and milk and give to a swan, it only absorbs the milk and leaves the water. So that is what it is conventionally said. So that is why a discriminating man is compared to a Hamsa. A discriminating man who can remove the chaff from the grain. He only takes the grain and removes the chaff. So such a person, he is compared to a Hamsa, because Hamsa has that ability. Supposedly he is having that ability. We do not know. We have not tested. So Hamsa iva ambhasaha payaha. Just as a Hamsa, just as a swan distinguishes or selects only milk from the water, so likewise tau shreyah padarthau samparitya, shreyah preyah padarthau samparitya. This gentleman who is a jnani, who is a intelligent man, he will examine samparitya. The meaning of samparitya, Shankaracharya says samyak parigamya. Parigamya, this gam dhatu, he goes about, he surveys, he goes about that whole course, he sees, he examines the whole course. Samyak samparitya means having gone about or having surveyed. Manasa alochya, and then he also mentally, alochya means he thinks about it, he mentally deliberates on that, he broods on that, he thinks about it. Then Guru Laghavam Vivinakti. Guru Laghavam means which is great and which is laghu. Guru means great. The same English word great is related to Guru only. Laghu is light, L-I-G-H-T, light is related to laghu. This Guru and Laghu, Guru Laghavam, which is great, which is heavier and which is lighter, which is great and which is light and which has to be dismissed. So these things, he Vivinakti. Vivinakti means he discriminates. Vivekam karoti. So that is Vivinakti. Pruthak karoti dhiraha dhiman. Pruthak karoti means he separates. Pruthak, they said, is separate. Pruthak karoti means he distinguishes, he separates. Dhiman. Then next line. Vivicyacha.
Vivicyacha.
Shreyohi. Shreyayeva abhivrunite. Preyasaha abhyarhitatvat. Abhyarhitatvat. Kosau dhiraha. Kosaudhira will go next. Okay. Then Vivicyacha Shreyahi Abhivrunite. So this is again explaining the word Abhivrunite, this third line of this mantra. Shreyo hi dhiro abhipreyaso vrunite. Abhipreyaso vrunite has to be separated as Preyasaha Preyaha Abhivrunite. Preyasaha Shreyaha Abhivrunite. That is Preyasaha, that is in preference to. That is in Panchami Vibhakti. Shreyaha abhivrunite. Then why abhyarhitatvat? Abhyarhitatvat means because it is more desirable. Shreyo Marga is more desirable. Therefore, a wise man selects that particular path. Yes, Kosau dhiraha. Who is that wise man? He puts a question. Next line. Yastu mandaha.
Yastu mandaha.
No, not Kosau dhiraha means Ko asau. Who is that? Who is that? That is the question. Then dhiraha is the answer. Who is the person who distinguishes? Dhira is the answer. So that the question and answer are both contained in Kosau dhiraha. Then next line, yastu mandaha
यस्तु मन्दः
alpabuddhihi
अल्पबुद्धिः
sa viveka asamarthyat
स विवेक असामर्थ्यात्
yogakshemat
योगक्षेमात्
yogakshema nimittam
योगक्षेमनिमित्तं
शरीराद्युपचय रक्षण निमित्तं
शरीराद्युपचयलक्षणनिमित्तम्
इत्येतत्
इत्येतत्
प्रेयः पशुपुत्रादि लक्षणं वृणीते.
प्रेयः पशुपुत्रादिलक्षणं वृणीते.
So this preya is also giving an example of what is preyas. Preya means having more wealth. In olden days, pashu wealth, this cattle wealth was the main wealth. So that is why pashu, putra, adi, pashu, putra, mitra, bandhu, all these things, that is the wealth of a human being. In olden days, having lot of cattle, sons, friends, then again lot of say crop from the fields, lot of lands. So these are all that is all the wealth. So all these things, he vrunite means he chooses for what? Shariradi upachaya rakshana nimittam. Shariradi, in order to say embellish oneself, in order to embellish one's body, in order to embellish one's wife's body, and then embellish his own sons, and then see that all his sons are well dressed, see that say some more generations are taken care of. Now of course in olden days of course we do not know. Now of course we see in India at least we acquire wealth in order to sustain several generations, not only for our generation but for several generations. So that is what this manda buddhi, this foolish man, he does. Yastu mandaha, on the other hand, the mandaha alpa buddhihi, sa viveka asamarthyat, because this sense of discrimination is not there. Viveka asamarthyat, because he is not having that ability to distinguish, ability to discriminate. Then yogakshema nimittam, because he wants to acquire and then he wants to protect. Acquisition, protection. Yoga is acquisition, shema is protection. So these two things, acquisition and protection, he is interested only in that. Acquisition and protection means protection maybe nowadays in Swiss bank or something like that. So this is yoga kshema vrunite. So this manda buddhi vrunite. Then next mantra. Shall we read the mantra? The time is over. We'll read this mantra. Sattvam priyan priyarupanscha kaman abhidhyayan Nachiketo atyasrakshihi naitam srunkam vittamayim avapto yasyam majjanti bahavo manushyaha. So in this mantra, Lord Yama is complimenting or giving a pat on the back of his student, that is Nachiketa. Oh my dear good boy, people are like that. I have told you how people behave. What is human behavior? 99.9% of the people, how they behave. Some people, they deliberately choose the Preyo Marga. Some people, they are confused, where they do not know what is Shreyo Marga and Preyo Marga, and then they choose some other path thinking that it is Shreya. But then you are aware of what exactly is Shreyas and what exactly is Preyas. So that is why you have abandoned, you have rejected all the allurements I offered to you, you have rejected. All this Sattvam, Priyan, Priyarupanscha Kaman. There are certain things which you yourself love. Priyaha. Priyaha means those which are very, very dear to you. Son, daughter, your wife. So things which are very, very close to you, which are very close to your heart. So these are things which are very priya. There are certain other things, priya rupaha. Certain other things, they are not definitely yours, but then they occasionally come and go. So those things they like, those attractions. Sometimes you have an ornament today, tomorrow you change that ornament, you go for a different ornament. So they are all the priya rupas. So all those priya rupanscha kaman, abhidhyayan nachiketo atyasrakshihi, you have rejected all these things. Then you have, and Yama, he offered one srunka, a particular string he offered, and then she said, this is a multicolored string, which will give you any type of, which will give you or which will sanction any type of boon, whatever you want it will give. So something like that he said in an earlier mantra. Anaitam srunkam vittamayim. This thing which is abounding in all types of bounties, in all types of wealth, in all whatever you want, it is bountiful rather. So such bountiful thing you have rejected. And actually, what is that bountiful thing? People actually get sunk in that yasyam majjanti. People get submerged in that. They just don't come out. They just sink in that. The whole world is sunk in that type of desire, that bottomless pit called desire. So that is what he says in this particular mantra. We will see this mantra in the next class. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Avashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi.